Good morning, everyone. We hope you're doing fine. Good to see you once again. We are so sorry we are starting late. Some of our experts haven't come yet, but we can get started and they will find us along the way. So today we are going to be looking at WordPress. WordPress is a very popular website hosting platform. And as you saw in the email that we sent you a couple of days ago, every day people create several thousands of websites. And but unfortunately, website development is not yet very well developed, like in our country, Uganda. But certainly there are so many developers who are doing an amazing job of setting up sites for companies, for organizations, for individuals. So if you don't already have one, then I think this is the best time for you to start thinking of setting up your website. You know, everyone needs an online presence because that is like sort of a virtual office, you know, that you can operate alongside a physical office. It could be for your company, it could be for your organization, but it could also be a personal blog where you post what you like to share. And while we know there are costs involved with website development and maintenance, there are some ways around it. And WordPress provides both free and paid plans, which you can choose. Personally, I've used WordPress for free for more than, it's nearly 10 years. And I'm going to share my screen now and show you the website which I built on WordPress. And it's quite simple. So today we're going to do one, and we hope you like it. So let me share my screen. Kindly let me know if you can see the screen. Can you see it? Okay, great. So I want to show you the website I made. It's here on WordPress. I'll click on it. There is a site. That's what we do. Been there for ages. Yeah, so this is the site, and looks just fine, you know, looks just fine. There, I think there is internet, so okay. Yeah, so yeah, I think we have Brian now. Brian, you're welcome. Brian is our WordPress expert, not just WordPress, but he's a developer and he has numerous years of experience doing what he does. So Brian, we were waiting for you, and I just decided to show them the website which I built. So on WordPress, and it's free. This is the domain, More Youth Forum for Change. Because it's free, it has this extension .wordpress.com. So if you want to remove the extension, then you have to pay, and then they will remove .wordpress.com, and you will remain with your own domain customized. Yeah. So if you click on these pages, then you'll see, you know, environment. These are the things we've been writing, stories, news, contact us. There is a contact form here, you know, and And then what's up? So this is like we just write top stories there on that page. About this is about us, commission, blah blah blah. And we've actually embedded our social media accounts to this um, site, because when we update our Twitter, we get the updates here instantly. So anyways, it's not my day, it's Brian's, some of the people's. So Brian, I'm going to give you presenter right, and you'll be able to share your screen. And but before that, you can say hello to the team. Welcome, sir.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Joel. First, apologies. I have joined in a little bit late by a couple of minutes. I hope we are all doing fine.
Yep.
Joel, can I share something?
Please. I've given
Okay.
you presenter rights,
Okay.
promote to
Okay.
moderator. Okay. You should
Okay. Thank
see
you.
screen sharing.
All right, please let me proceed to share my screen. Then we kick off.
Okay.
So, WordPress is a content management system which helps which helps us to develop which helps us to manipulate a few tools, create very attractive websites for our small businesses. So I'm sharing a screen shortly.
Are you able to see the two icons? One is for video and the other is for screen sharing.
Yes, I've seen it.
So if you click on screen sharing, then it brings window, then you again have to click on it, then the sharing is going to be activated. Does it work?
Okay. Yeah, it has worked. Just
Okay.
checking through the PPT, the PowerPoint.
We still can't see it.
I'm just going to share.
Okay.
Uh, I
Okay,
think you can
it's
see something
coming.
now.
It has started. Now we can see your desktop.
Okay. So just like you can see, it's WordPress for small business owners. So the reason why I have put
Brian,
this kind of attractive, yes.
I think you have not opened the presentation. I see WordPress tutorial. Is that what you wanted to share? Like we're not seeing
Wait,
your PowerPoint, but we are seeing your desktop, like files, many files.
really? Okay. Let me see.
Yeah, you can open it. Yes, open.
Can you see my screen now? Can you see the PowerPoint?
I think it's coming. We can see you clicking on it, but it doesn't display.
How about now?
Still nothing. Okay, do this. Send it to me on WhatsApp, and I'll just upload it here, and you'll be able to just
Let me share it
navigate,
with you on email right away. And then
or WhatsApp. Yeah, either way.
okay.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. So okay, we can start. So I was saying WordPress is a content management system which facilitates the manipulation of a few tools to enable us develop a very high catchy website for our small businesses. It doesn't involve so many steps, and it helps us eliminate the burden of having to do hard coding. So it was basically developed in PHP programming language, and it's supported by the database system of MySQL. I know many of you may not know all those two terms and those two technologies, but those are now, like for the PHP, it's a programming language which is used for developing these web applications. For example, you can take Facebook. Facebook was developed from PHP. We support from database, which is to store the data that is ranging from your pictures and everything stored in the database. So with WordPress, it is the same kind of technology that is used to develop that content management system. So basically, in this tutorial today, we shall look at 3 key steps, just like I've told you. WordPress is not so very complicated. It is a simple tool. It's not complicated. So there are basically like 3 steps that you can go through to ensure that your website is already up and running, showcasing your business to the world, and of course putting you at an advantage compared to other businesses that may not be online. So the first step of WordPress is to do an installation and then make a few setups, and then followed by that is okay, what we shall do is we shall get familiar with the user interface of WordPress, because it is key. When we are familiar with the user interface, it will be so simple for us to go through and do all the other customizations of whatever we may be working with, the themes, which will help us create a site which is our own from the resources that we shall have connected from the internet. So the other will be designing and then customization. It is the final step through the process of working with WordPress. So after you've installed, you're familiar with the user interface and everything concerning WordPress, you need to have a little bit of design in you to ensure that you can make something unique. You can make something your own, because you will come across a couple of themes that are starting, we can call them building blocks for what you want your site to look like. But now these building blocks need to be customized to your need. So that's what we shall do at step 3. Today we may not do lots of the practical bit of it, but we shall basically get familiar with WordPress. And if you are familiar with WordPress, then the practical bit of it is just a walkover. So before we can maybe proceed, why is WordPress a good choice for a small business? It's the question you may ask yourself. Now, first of all, WordPress is free. WordPress is strictly free. For a couple of other features, that's where you need to pay a few dollars to have those features, which may come from maybe the plugins that you want to install, some other services from some given themes that you want to make use of. That's when you can make that payment. But from scratch, you can develop a fully functional website for your business to meet your needs at a free cost. That is the advantage of WordPress. So the other thing is WordPress is easy to learn. It's easy, just like we are going to see through this simple tutorial today. WordPress also is secure Yes, it is secure. You know, when it comes to anything that you want to have on the internet, security is supposed to be your number one priority. And WordPress is indeed secure, since it is developed with very strong team that is so security conscious. This makes WordPress very secure, and we can have it to have a business out there freely accessed without any problem. The other thing also, WordPress is powerful. It's indeed powerful. It's a very powerful tool, given all the functionality that it renders us to do, just like we are going to through as we are going to see as we go through the tutorials. It is so very powerful, and it can be accessed through all the different platforms. It can be the designs basically fit all platforms. So the other advantage of WordPress also, it is SEO friendly. Now, what is SEO friendly? Now, SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it is a search engine optimization friendly, meaning it easily blends in with the search engines and makes the search of your content or your website so very easy. Sometimes most of the developers face problems of making their websites easily searchable on the internet. This is zero down to, sorry, I think that was just some interaction. Sorry. So I was saying SEO means how easy is our website reachable on the internet. How easy. So WordPress facilitates a bit of optimization, which is inbuilt, and this facilitates the ease of our websites being able to be searched all across the world. So those are really, really very powerful advantages that WordPress has. So we have to have that at the back of our minds as we proceed to get to learn this new skill. So after getting to know the advantages of WordPress, let us proceed to the first step, which is installation and setup. Now, under installation and setup, we are going to look at 3 key steps, which is just a brief overview of this stage, and then we shall have to install XAMPP, which is a website, which is a server, and then we shall install also WordPress itself, the package of WordPress. So, looking at the overview, now there are very many ways of installing WordPress. There are very many ways of installing WordPress, but we are going to look at we are going to strictly concentrate on one way, because we are going to be working remotely. What does that mean? We are going to work on our personal computers, so that is working remotely, and what we shall need are all those other tools that facilitate remote development. So the other different methods of installing WordPress are by using the custom by using the host custom WordPress uh, uh, WordPress items. That is, if you go to a hosting company, the hosting company will provide you with an interface that will have WordPress, so you can install WordPress directly from there. That is if you're using a hosting company. So you can also install WordPress through cPanel. Still, yes, that comes from your hosting company. You can have access to install WordPress from there. But for our case, we are going to install WordPress manually, because we are going to work from our local PCs, that is our computers individually. So that's the step we are going to be doing. And if you know this step, then the rest of the steps are the rest of the methods are not that hard. They are simple because they are all aligned. So installing WordPress locally on our PCs involves a couple of steps, which have been summarized in 5. One, we have to download and install what is called a local host server. Local host server is what we have to download. Now, local host servers, these are basically softwares that emulate the functionality of a physical server. I hope all of us know what servers are. Now, servers are basically computers that are dedicated to the function of storing and relaying information across various across long distances and various hosts. For example, let's take a company. For example, a company will have maybe very many branches in other places. It will also have very many users. So a server is basically that stationed PC somewhere with all the equipment that is used to consolidate this information in one place and store it. This information can be accessed by the different hosts within that organization from different from different locations. So that is basically server. So you can okay. The simple example I can also give you is you can have one computer at your home that you store in all the information. Every information that you want to access that is stored in that computer, you can access it. So that computer that is strategically just located there to store your information, maybe your videos, maybe your photos, maybe some other information that you may want to have. So that computer will be your server at home. So here the server will help us to host the WordPress and then serve it to the world, make it accessible to the world. That is the work of hosting companies. Hosting companies do that work. They do have those servers that host our websites and serve it to the world for everyone to access. But now we are going to just have that simulation installed on our local PCs. And that simulation is going to be facilitated by what is called a XAMPP server. So we shall download the XAMPP server on our local PC and we install it to simulate the physical aspect of serving that information that we need. That is the work of XAMPP server. I hope we have got that point. It's very important. If you have no server, actually WordPress runs on a server. So if you have no server, you will have your computer, you'll have your website, but it will just be locally on your computer, and you will not have it accessed in the world. So you need to have a server, either a hosting company or just on your PC. On your PC is just for development purposes. But if you want your site to be accessed by the world, you'll have to take it to a hosting company. That is all about servers. So we shall, after installing the server, we shall have to test it and see that it is functioning very well. We shall test the database part of it, and we shall also test the web side of it to ensure that it's functioning before we can proceed. Then we shall also, then the third part will be installing of the WordPress itself. Remember, WordPress is downloadable as a package, and then we shall have to install it. That will be our third step. Then after that, we shall have to create a database, and then the database basically is going to be created to be able to store our information. And then after that, we shall have to install WordPress. Yes, I can see a hand. Yes, Sharon. Hello.
Brian, we can hear you.
Yes, I saw someone raise their hand. I think Sharon raised their hand.
Yeah, Shannon.
Shannon. Yes. Yes, Joel, do I have to give her rights to say something or?
No, he's actually here in the house, so he can come and use our microphone. So he can come closer here, and because I think he
Okay.
has issues with his audio. Uh,
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
but he can speak from here directly. Can speak. Brian, can you hear him?
I'm not hearing anything, please.
Okay. My concern is just some of us are alien in this and we are not really IT. Some of us.
Kindly be louder a bit. I'm not getting you, please.
Are you getting me now? Uh,
Yes,
right.
yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, my concern is just about trying to be a little bit, how do you say, yeah, to be detailed because some of us are more of IT one. So sometimes we want to speak kind of alien work, which gives us a lot of hard in understanding what we can really see the steps that they follow, but understanding how they work may be a little bit hard. So I don't think you can make it a little bit, I don't know, simpler.
Joel, I think I'm not really getting him. I don't know whether there's some interruption. I think.
Oh, so I think he was just trying to say,
Yes.
you will need to like try to simplify things for
Mm,
him because he doesn't have an IT background, and I think most people do not have that. So, as you explain,
mm.
you just try to emphasize concepts and terms as we go forward.
Oh,
Is that clear?
yeah. That is clear. Actually, that's what for any kind of inquiry. If you don't understand any term, please just I think there's chat here. You can type it, and then I can throw light on what that is. Just type and then Joel. I hope they can type in, and then I can.
Yeah, sure. There
Okay.
is Philip also raising
Mm.
a hand. Philip, please unmute and speak. Philip, please unmute. We've seen your hand. I think Philip has a problem with the microphone. So please leave audio first and then join with audio and to work. Meanwhile, Brian or Philip, you can also just type in the chat.
Yes, you
Brian
can
will be
type.
able to see. So
Okay.
Brian, I think you can continue.
Okay.
If you could finish the PowerPoint and then you just take us through live, like WordPress, that would be great. And if you could also show us really, all of these steps while sharing your screen, what you're downloading. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So those are the steps as those are the steps that we shall go through to have the initial setups. Um, Sorry. So those are the steps we shall go through to have the initial setup of our environment. Let's go to the next slide. So downloading XAMPP and installing it. So the first step on the way is to install WordPress locally, is to download XAMPP server. Now to access XAMPP server, we shall go to Apache Friends. Apache Friends, these are basically the developers of XAMPP server. Joel, since I cannot share I don't know if, since I failed to share my screen, I don't know if to be fine, I just go through the slides. We shall do this practically, maybe in the next session. If you get the concept, if you get the concept here, it will be so very fast for us when we start back on the practicals.
Okay, I'll say you can use your PowerPoint, and after the PowerPoint, then we can try to share screen again.
Exactly, that will be fine.
All right.
So when you go to the Apache Friends site, this is what you will basically see, and then you will find options to download XAMPP server for Windows. You will find for Linux, if you have a Linux PC, or for OS X PCs. So these are basically the different platforms in terms of Windows, the operating system types that you can get. For Windows, there's this one here. You'll have to download that one. If you have a Linux operating system, you will download this one. If you have an OS X operating system, you will download this one. So I am quite sure many of us have Windows PCs, so we shall have to be downloading this one here. So sometimes you may also have the what they call the architecture types download. We have 64-bit and 32-bit. Now these ones are not necessarily very challenging sometimes, but okay, nowadays most of the computers are 64-bit. That is the architecture type of machine. They are 64-bit, most of them. So if you are downloading this software, be sure to know which type of machine you have. Is it a 32-bit or a 64-bit? If you have a 32-bit architecture of PC, download the one of 32-bit. If you have 64-bit, you download 64-bit. Otherwise, we'll have challenges in installing it. That is not very complicated. You can experience it as you download. After you have downloaded it, you'll have to install it. Now, when installing XAMPP server, you will have some prompts which will depend on the configurations of your computer. Now, these prompts are user account control prompts. But with all these prompts that you receive, you just consider clicking yes for all of them. And these are the windows you will be seeing. The setup windows you'll be seeing on the XAMPP. And then you will get this interface where you will be asked to select what you want to include in your components. These are all basically setups for the XAMPP server. What do you want to have on your XAMPP server? I told you the most important things on the XAMPP server are the MySQL to support the database, and then the PHP MyAdmin, which is basically the window which gives us that user interface that we use to interact with this database, where we interface with our WordPress, and also where we can edit our WordPress website from. So these are basically the two components that you want to have on your PC. So you have to check, as shown in the arrow here, you have to check MySQL and PHP MyAdmin By default, when you run the software, these will be selected. So I would advise you leave them at default when you're installing the XAMPP server. Just leave them at default because those are the exact choices that will be selected for you. Unless when you have some other functionalities that you want, that's when you can select other functionalities, but leave it at default. Then also the other important thing is you have to know the location where XAMPP server is being installed. By default still, when you're installing XAMPP server, it will create a file on your local drive. Now, what is your local drive? When you install on your computer, most of you, I know you have two partitions on your computer. There is perhaps the partition C and the partition D. Now, partition C by default is where XAMPP will be installed, and XAMPP will be installed on a folder that is going to be created and named as XAMPP itself. As you can see from here, this folder is going to be created automatically, and that's where every content of WordPress is going to be running. It's very important to note it because everything you'll be working with will be in this folder. So we have to have this at the back of our minds, everything. So if you want to maybe migrate your information, know that everything that you're working with on your site, on your project, is in this folder, the C folder under the XAMPP folder. I hope that is simple and understood. All this is to give us a background and let us be able to know what we shall be doing at the practical bit. It will be very simple when you have already this information. It will be a walkover. So next, the installation phase will be initiated, and this is what you will see next. After a few minutes, your software will be installed. Not long, not just in less than a minute, your software will be installed, and it will ask to be initiated by clicking on finish. That's when you will see your software running. Now, when your software is running, you need to know if all the functions are running. The key functions, like I told you, is the Apache, which is the server itself. The Apache server, it's the server itself. It is what simulates the hardware I was explaining at the start. Then we have MySQL, which is used as the back-end database management. So these are the two very, very important things you have to ensure they are running. How do you ensure they are running? You have to click on them. You click on these start buttons and you see how they respond. If they respond positively, you will see them turn green, just like below here. Now, your server is up and running. Your database is up, your server is up. Now you're ready to go to the next step of installation. Now, this is not complicated. You will see as we go through the practical bit. Any questions from this point? I'm reading some question here from Philip. XAMPP is a database application. Must one know how to use it so as to use WordPress? Yes. Now, you have to know about XAMPP. And the reason why you should know about XAMPP is because XAMPP is the starting point to having your WordPress up and running. That is to Philip. You need to know about XAMPP. I hope I've answered you. Philip, I hope I've answered you. Next slide. Now, after you have installed your XAMPP, the next process is installing WordPress. Now, WordPress can be downloaded from the official site, that is wordpress.org. That's where you can get WordPress. It is just a package that you will download. You need to get the up-to-date package, which now let me check now WordPress, the current package. There's just a minute. WordPress, the current package. Yeah, the current version of WordPress is 5.9.3. That is the current version of WordPress. So it's always advantageous to get the current version of WordPress downloaded as a package, and you get started with the development. So when you download the package of WordPress, you need to navigate to the folder that I told you, the C drive that you have on your PC, to the XAMPP folder that I told you will be created by default. So Philip, if you did not know about XAMPP, you couldn't know that this is what you're supposed to do. So this is one of the most important things when it comes to having to put your WordPress development process right. You need to know about XAMPP. So in the C drive, under the XAMPP folder, you'll navigate through and find what they call the the htdocs folder, subfolder in the XAMPP folder. So the htdocs folder, now htdocs folder is the folder where you put every single file that you're working with. Every single file that you're working with is in the htdocs folder in the XAMPP folder. The XAMPP folder contains a couple of other folders that contain the settings for the XAMPP application. But the htdocs folder is the folder where you put all that you're working with, be it the themes, be it any document, the pictures, everything that you're going to access for your WordPress website will be in the htdocs folder. So that is where you work from. Idea is a big deal because it's complicated for starters. Yeah, yes, Philip. It sounds complicated, but to be honest, if you just get to grasp this theoretical part, the practical bit of it is going to be a walkover. It will be simpler actually. Philip, yeah, you're right. It's kind of complicated for starters. So in the htdocs folder, like you can see illustrated here on the screen, you see we have a folder called test site. Now, test site is the package of WordPress that we have downloaded and renamed to test site. We downloaded the package and we renamed it as test site, and we put it inside the htdocs folder. Now, the WordPress package comes with all these contents you're seeing here: the WordPress admin folder, the WordPress content folder, the WordPress includes folder, the index, the license, the README, the WordPress active. All these are the contents that come under the WordPress package. So when you download that WordPress package, these are the folders you will find. They are just like this, no difference. They are like this exactly. WordPress admin, which contains all the administration information. WordPress content, it contains all the other contents of the WordPress, can be images, can be anything. Then the WordPress includes. Now, these are also other supportive contents for the WordPress website under this WordPress includes folder. Then the index. Now, index is more or less the primary page. Index is the first page. So when anyone is accessing, actually, there's one thing you need to know when it comes to these web applications, when it comes to these websites. The mother page is the index page. How? It is the page that is accessed automatically when someone tries to access your folder. It is it's the page that is looked at first. That is the index page. When you're using some other technologies, you find maybe index extended as maybe PHP, and for this case it is PHP. You may find index.html. So basically, people just name it index, but it is the page that is accessed first when you are running any web application. It is the primary page that is accessed. So knowing what we find in the WordPress package, we can proceed to the next page. However, I think I've already talked about the htdocs folder. Yes, here. Yes. So now when you finish to put the folder that is containing your WordPress package that you've downloaded in the XAMPP and then in the htdocs folder, you would want to access it on the browser. What is a browser? I hope all of us know what a browser is. Yeah. I hope we all know what a browser is. Because WordPress is developed from the browser. You don't need some other application over text editor or what. No. It is developed from the browser itself. So when you have your WordPress in the folder where I have asked you to put it, how do you access it from the browser? You access it through the link, the URL link to that folder. Now the URL link will look something like this. So how are we accessing this test site? We are accessing this test site by going to the local host server. Our local host server, which is simulated by the XAMPP server. Now, everyone who is working with WordPress locally on your PC is working under what they call localhost. Okay? Just like the name sounds, you're hosting your server locally on your PC. So we are accessing this test site website that we have named through this link here. We are going to the localhost and we are going to the test site folder, which I told you is by default stored in is by default accessed from the htdocs folder. That's why I told you the htdocs folder is very important. So here we are not putting a / of htdocs folder. We're just putting localhost/test site, because the configurations already know that we are supposed to access this from the htdocs folder. As long as you put localhost, knows where to look for to go and find your test site. So that's how we access the test site from the browser. We shall see this practically. Let us not fear. It is simple. We shall see it practically. But it's very important for us to know, to have these concepts at least ingrained as we go through these tutorials, so that when we do it practically, it's just so simple and fun, by the way. Actually, WordPress is fun because you are saved from the hardship of having to do lots of coding. And everyone can do WordPress. No one should lie to you that you can't do WordPress. We shall see it, and you'll become experts also in doing WordPress for any small business that may come up. So the next slide, I hope we have gotten to understand this slide. Please, if anything is not clear, you can raise a question and then we get it sorted. So when you have everything ready, having your WordPress package put into your folder, the next step is going to create our databases. Now, when you're working locally, you'll have to create the databases by yourself. Even when you're working over the cPanel, many times if you're doing a migration, what is a migration? Migration is removing a site that you have been developing locally on your PC and taking it to a hosting server. We talked about a hosting company which has hosting servers that help us reach the outside world. At the moment you're developing your WordPress locally on your PC, you are the hosting company, and you're the hosting service provider of your own computer locally on your PC. Just literally. So, but if you want it to be accessed by the whole world, we shall have to get our WordPress migrated into the hosting company's servers. So, if you're doing that migration, you have to go and create a you have to go and create a database in that. Okay, the hosting company will do most of this work for you. They'll create a database and then they'll have to migrate that site into their servers. They'll do that work for you actually. But here we are doing it manually. So to create the database, we have to give a name. We have to we already tested our server by testing the Apache and testing the MySQL. Now the next step is to open the MySQL itself. We shall have to click on the admin section of the button there. Then we shall go to the we shall go to the MySQL window. It's also opened from the browser, and the window will look just like this. And from the window, we shall be able to create the database like you can see here. We shall give it a name, and then we create. The database will show here. This is where all the databases show. Now, these are default databases that are created after installing the XAMPP server. Don't mind them. All these are just installed automatically. Don't mind these. But our new database, when we install this, we shall see it also here. Yes, so after installing the database, after creating the database, we should take hold of the name, because we shall need that name when we are installing our WordPress itself. So here we are now setting up the localhost server environment to have our database, to have our WordPress installed. We are setting it up by having our database set and then later installing our WordPress. So after all that is done, the next step now is installing WordPress. So how do we install WordPress? I told you, we go to this localhost test site. That's for this case of our dummy site, test site. When you put this link into the browser, you will get something like this. You get something like this. And now this is the installation process of WordPress. So what are the key things here? The key things here are, you went and you downloaded WordPress package. After that, you got the WordPress package and you put it in the htdocs folder. Now you are going to, your website, your WordPress is not yet installed, but you have got the package and you put it in the htdocs folder. After that, now our database is ready and you want to install the WordPress. So you go to the link that I showed you earlier, which is also here, the localhost /ht test site. Then you put slash. When you put slash, as long as your WordPress is not yet installed, and at this point when you press enter, as long as your WordPress is not yet installed, you will be shown this interface here of WordPress. Why? It is going to look into that folder, the htdocs folder, and will find the package of WordPress, but not yet installed. So it will prompt you to install by showing you this screen. So when this screen is shown to you, just proceed by clicking next, and you will be brought to this interface here. Now this is the interface where you select the database that you created. You select the username of the user of that database, and then you select the password of the user of that database, and then the host. Now our host is localhost, and that is what is going to be our database host. From this point, when you submit, the WordPress is going to install everything that you need automatically. There is nothing more you're going to do from this point rather than just having WordPress install. So what is the root? By default, the users of WAMP server or any localhost server by default is root. The word root, that is by default. Have that in mind, please. That is very important. You may reach this point sometime and then you get challenged and be like, oh, what can I do? I don't know the username. But by default, the users of the localhost server, be it XAMPP, be it WAMP, it is root. And the password is normally blank, unless when you set it, but it is normally blank. That's why here we are saying, yes, our database is named database, the user is root, the password is blank, but it is hosted locally on our PC. After you have consented to all this, you click submit. And when you click submit, everything will now be installed automatically. Wow. Are we at par at that point? Yes, Philip, I'll share the PowerPoint, please. I'll share it after this. Yes, team, are we all clear at this point?
Sounds good.
Okay, that is fine. That is fine. Yes, I know theoretically it may appear really complicated, team, but trust me, we shall enjoy it when we start doing it practically. So the next phase is after we have installed our WordPress, we shall be introduced. After we have installed our WordPress, we shall be welcomed by a very, very, very nice looking interface, which we shall have to get familiar with if we are to work with WordPress. And that is what we are going to look at next. If we are familiar with this interface, it is going to be very easy for us to navigate through to customize all the other elements of the WordPress and be able to have our site our own and functional. So we shall get to yes, Joe.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Oh, okay. So we shall get to be familiar with the user interface in the next slides. So what are we going to look at under this? We are going to look at the WordPress user interface. We are going to look at what they call, we are going to set the permalinks. I know at the moment we don't know what permalinks are. We are going to get to know about it. We are going to make our site public, and we are going to set our website title and taglines, and also allow and disable comments, and then we set our time zone. Now, these are some of the few settings that we need to do after getting familiar with our site, and we are going to go through it at this point. So let us proceed. Yes, after your WordPress is installed, this is going to be the window that you will always have to look at first before you access your WordPress, the login window. Now, on this window, you'll have to log in. The logins, you will have created it when you're installing WordPress. So those are the same credentials that you'll have to use here to log in. After you have logged in, this is what you'll see on on the WordPress. This is exactly what you will see on the WordPress. All the elements that you're seeing here is exactly what you will see when you log in into WordPress. And it's very important to have all this known so that you can easily maneuver through these different elements to create the WordPress site that you really want, and manipulate everything to look exactly the way you want it. Yes, WordPress comes with all these custom things, but you also have to have an element of design in you so that you can have something that is really customized to your need, customized to your advantage. Yeah? Sometimes some of these things are complicated, but you have to customize it, make it so simple and eye-catchy by yourself. So getting to know all these things helps us to run through all these other processes of WordPress to make it our own. So we shall look at all these elements one by one, and then we ask questions later where we have not understood. So as you can see from this window, they are named from 1 up to 10, and we shall look at all of them one by one. So the first element is just the welcome page. Now the welcome page is this one here. Just like it sounds, it just includes a couple of information about WordPress. It includes some things you can do about WordPress. It includes what you want to do from the WordPress. So this is a basic. It includes all the other links to some of the other things you can do with WordPress. That's what you find from the welcome page. Now, this page, if you don't need it that much, you can dismiss it. You can click it. You can click dismiss here, and you'll have it cancelled. Anytime you log in, it will not appear anymore. But for starters, that's one thing you should know is this is basically a page that shows us all the other things we can do with WordPress. That is changing your theme, writing your first blog, adding a page, viewing your site, managing the widgets and menu, turning comments off and on, and then learning more other things about WordPress. That's what you get from the welcome page, which is this number 1 here. It's not rocket science, just simple. It just gives you the information of what you need to do and what you want to do with WordPress. Then number two is the site status. Now, this one gives us the current status of our sites and what is going on with it. Yes, if you already have your site, yes, now like if you already installed WordPress, you already have a site, yes, but you haven't yet customized it to your need, but the site is already there. And how do you view that site? By clicking view your site from this welcome page. If you click view your site, it will be opened on another window of your browser, and you'll see how your site looks like after you have installed it. The status of that site, you can see it from all these other contents here at a glance. How many posts do you have? How many comments do you have? How many pages do you have? All that information is here. The draft, a quick draft. What do you want to save in your, what do you want to create in your site? You can see it. You can do it all from here by writing a quick draft with the title and then saving it. And then here, activity. The activity page is going to include what is running, what is going on in your site. Do you have any activities coming up? Have you published anything of recent? If you are publishing anything, it will all be shown here. If you have an activity, it will all be shown here. So this one basically includes the information about what is really going on your site. If you already have a site running, everything will be shown here. That is the second element of WordPress. Now, the other element of WordPress is the post, number 3. I hope you're seeing that. Go there. I mean, when you go here, you go to create what they call posts. Now, what are posts? Posts are basically, let me get it here. Posts are typically used for blogs, announcements, and they are contents that are maybe comments, or they can be categorized, and these can be categorized and tagged. Those are posts. Posts can be announcements, contents, comments, and they can be categorized. Why are they categorized? They are categorized for accessibility. If you want to have a category of maybe, let me say, posts on maybe, let me say, something X, you categorize it and say everything that is X is going to be under this category. Everything that is maybe B is going to be under this category. So that is the power of posts. Everything you want to have on your site, you can categorize it. Now, when you categorize these things, it is easier for WordPress to access them at any one particular time and then display them on your on your screen. We shall look at it in detail on theory. It's hard to understand, but let us understand that we have what they call posts in WordPress, and those are important things that we work with in WordPress. You can see it's here. Number 3, sorry, it's there, number 3. It's an element on the menu, on the navigation bar there. Then we have the media. Media, basically, this is an area where you find all the images and all the other contents that are visual for your WordPress. Anything, any image that you want to upload, you want to share, you want to put on your website, you can have it through the media navigation element. That is number 4. Number 5, we have pages. Now, pages, what are pages? Pages are typically used as static content or maybe dynamic content. A page is basically like let me call it an interface that contains some other element. That is a page. Our websites have what they call pages, and these are elements that contain some other sub elements. Some of the pages I can talk of here are like homepage. Homepage contains elements that describe your website, about your website, what you deal in. That is the homepage. You can have an about us page. An about us page is having contents of what is your website, what do you deal in, it's speaking basically about your website. That's an example of also a page. You can also have a contact page. A contact page can be a page which provides information about how they can access you, how can they reach you, how can they communicate with you. That is a page. So a page basically is an element, is a container. Let me, if I may say, it's a container that contains a couple of elements that speak about your website in any different way. For maybe about it, how you can reach it, all the other things can be categorized under pages. Then we can also have sub pages. Now, what are sub pages? Sub pages are pages that are a subject to another page. So for you to reach a sub page, you'll have to go to the main page. So pages can also be arranged in that kind of hierarchy and structure. We shall look at it practically and get the feel of what they are. But let us understand that WordPress has 3 types of contents: the posts, pages, and then the media. Those are the 3 types of contents that the WordPress website has, that we work with to present what we need from our website, to present the look that we want from our website, to provide the feel that we want from our website. We work with all these 3 types of contents: posts, pages, and media. Very important. Let us have it in mind. That's what we shall be working with majorly. So the next is the comments. Now, comment element is basically if you want to have comments from your website, people will come to your website and they'll leave comments and all that stuff. If you want that element to be active, you go to the comments. So you go to the comments. Element of the navigation bar, and you either activate it or deactivate it. So all the comments that come into your website, you'll see it from there. That is self-explanatory. Another one is now the appearance element. The appearance element is where you customize how you want your website to look like. You want how you want your website to look like. You customize it under appearance. Under appearance, that's where you find the different displays that you want your website to look like. You find the different themes that you want your website to look like. All these elements are found under appearance because they support how your WordPress site should look like. We shall look at appearance in detail and we see how we customize everything to ensure our site looks the way we want it to look like. Number 8 is plugins. What are plugins? What are plugins? Plugins are like, for example, let me just give an example so that we all understand it very well. You have an Android phone. Many of us do have Android phones. We download softwares to our Android phones. Our Android phones are nothing without the softwares. Yes. So softwares, in this case, I will call them, I'm just illustrating it so that you can understand. Softwares in this case is like the plugin. I mean, the application is like the plugin of the Android phone. Without the plugin, there are some functionalities that this Android phone will not have. Without the application, there are some functionalities that this phone will not meet. For example, let me see, for example, maybe like the message application. If it's not there on your phone, you'll not be able to send messages. So to have that functionality of sending messages, you have to download the application, the message application on your phone. For the case of website, plugins are like the applications for the WordPress. They extend functionality of WordPress. They extend how flexible WordPress can be. That's the work of plugins. And there are a couple of plugins out there. There are some core plugins that are designed for WordPress that are lightweight. And then there are those that may consume a lot of space. But when you know the plugin you need to extend whichever functionality that you want, you can download the appropriate extension. For example, we have plugins like the Woocommerce plugin. The Woocommerce plugin is an extension that allows for e-commerce capabilities. If you're developing an e-commerce website, for example, Jumia site, you're developing something like a Jumia application, Jumia web application. What you do, you will have to download the plugin of Woocommerce. You'll find the plugin of Woocommerce will have the cart system that facilitates the shopping capabilities of your website. Something which you may not develop from scratch, but you can just get a plugin and then it extends that functionality. The Woocommerce also may extend the functionality of payment, online payment. Online payment, that is through maybe a PayPal, maybe mobile money if it is incorporated into it. So using that as an example, we can get the feel that these plugins just extend some bit of functionality. So in WordPress, we shall use there are very many plugins that we shall use that will have saved us a lot of time to hard code all of them. Another example can be the contact form plugin. Now, a contact form, we talked of the contact page. A contact page is a page that provides that form that you fill in. You put in your email address, you put in your name, and then you send in your questions, or maybe you send in your submissions, and then maybe the person behind their side responds back to you. That is a form. To develop that form manually from scratch is not simple as it may sound, but there are plugins that you can install on WordPress and they give you all that functionality there, and then you don't need to create that form manually. So that is about plugins. We shall see all this, just like I said, we shall see all this practically and it will be easy to go over. Then we have the users element. The users element. Now, the users element, basically, when you have a website, yes, Danielo, the contact plugins are free. There are a variety of plugins that can extend the contact functionality, and a number of them are free. For an enhanced functionality, that's where you will have to get some payments. So you have to make some payments, but a majority of them are free. For example, we have the contact form 7. It's a free plugin that you can get on most of the web the WordPress WordPress content management system. Okay, so we're talking about users. Yes, when you have your WordPress installed, you may be a team of guys who are developing this WordPress, and all of you are users to this WordPress. So to manage these users, of course, the one who is let me just say, the one who is leading this project, probably he will be the one to create different accounts for other users to have the ability to manage, make content, create content, and edit some other content and publish. So you can manage all these other users through the user element. So you give room for other members of your team that are working to also have access to this WordPress, and you manage them. Under these users, you can restrict some rights. You can do every restriction that you want. You can do it from the users element to manage all the other people that you're working with in this project, to ensure that you are all contributing. So why is this one important? You can have a team whereby you have people whose work is to update the contents of your page. Always update the pages, update the images on your site. So you create these different users and you manage them through this users element by giving them the respective rights that they deserve, and keeping track of who is doing what at any one particular time in your website. So that is the importance of that element of users. And now the last element we are going to look at is this number 10, which is the element of settings. The settings element contains many things, which we are going to look at next. It contains many things we are going to look at next. And that is these ones here. The basic setups, the basic WordPress setups are what are contained under the settings, under the what? The settings element. And what are these basic setups? These basic setups are basically some things that you need to have right when you need to know and have right when you're developing your site. How do you want your URL to appear like? What is the URL? URL is basically that link, the address. How do you want it to appear like? For example, there is this www.maybe.okelobrian.com, yeah? /maybe home. That is a URL. www.okelobrian.com/home. That is a URL. How do I want it to look like? Now, that one is called a permalink. The term for it is permalink. So we need to set our permalink. We need to know our permalink, so that if you are referring someone to, hey, we have a website, it's so and so, you can access it through this. You need to know how does our URL look like. So that setup is done through the set permalink under settings element. And normally we shall use the post name style of links. And that will be, like I've told you, http /this okelobrian.com/. For example, this one here. Yes, for example, this one here. This one is a post name permalink, and it's what we shall use normally. Just like the example I've given you, www.okelobrian.com/home. It's the same. This is what you normally use. You can choose to use this if you want it to show the month and then the page itself. You can choose to use this one here. It's all okay. You can also choose to use this whereby it also highlights the date. You can also choose to use this whereby it just does not show anything, just gives the ID of the page. Any that you choose is the best, but normally I'd advise you use the post name so that you can have a link that highlights the name of the page that you're using. I mean, the page that you're on. That is setting permalinks. I hope that one is not complicated. Next with permalinks. Wait. So like I've told you, permalinks define how the individual web page addresses, aka URLs, are structured within your site. It's just what I've said. You'll read more about that in the slides. The next step is making your site public. Yes, search engine optimization and visibility. Now we have to make our site accessible. Yes, you can. When you're working locally, you're not yet on the. You're not yet in the at the access of the entire world because you're working locally. Yes, but this setting of having your website accessible and visible is very important. You may forget, and then when you launch your website, people try to search it and they can't find it, and that's of course a failed project already at that point. Yeah? So if you're developing for someone and then you create a website and forget to check this point, you will find that their website will not be accessible, and then you ask yourself, oh, what happened? This site is not accessible. What's the problem? But the only problem may be that you have not checked this. You have not made the site accessible over the internet. So you see, you have the right to control whether your site is accessible or not accessible by just this setup here. So how do you get to this setup? You go under settings and then you go to reading and make sure that the box labeled discourage search engines. You can even see what to read. Discourage search engines is unchecked. When it's checked, it means search engines will not be able to pick it up when someone is searching for maybe the content that you also have in your site. For example, if it's about clothes and someone is searching about clothes, if you have this checked, it means you don't want anyone who is searching about clothes to reach your site. But if it is unchecked, it means your site will pop up under some of those searches. So this is the importance of making your site public. Let us always have that. We always have to do that before we have our site launched. Can you set make the website public after in case you forget the settings? Can you reset make website public after in case you forget the settings? I'm not getting this question so clearly, but can you make the website public after or in case you forget this? Yes. You can make it public after. Oh, I get Desmond. You can make this site public after. It's all okay. You can make it public after when you forget. Yeah, you can make it public. Yes, it's true. At any moment, you can make it public. It's fine, Desmond. Set your website title and then tagline. Yes. The identity of your site has to be known. It's also a setting under the general. It's a setting under the general element. You have to give your site a title and a tagline. What is a title? The name of your site. What is your site about? Tagline, the description of what you deal in. Basically, what is it? You have to also put it all there. For example, if your site is what? Let me see. We have which example can I give you? Which example can I give you? No. Let me see. Setting your site and title. For example, we have future generation technologies. Yeah, it's the name of our site. And the tagline can basically be something like can be revolutionizing technologies, something like that. You can have that as a tagline, which it just throws more light and gives more. It makes our site more understandable to the people. It's just basically like a description, a slight description to the site. That is a tagline. You can either put it or you don't put it. It's all fine, but at least the site title has to be there, because with the tagline you can either enable it or disable it. Just like you have seen here, tagline is optional. You can leave it blank. If you don't have a tagline for the site, you can leave it blank. It's an optional element. So these are some of the other things you have to have set in your website. Now we have the allow and disable element of the comments. I talked about that briefly. I was like, comments are basically feedback from people who are accessing your site and people who are viewing your website. So you can either disable it or enable it. That is straightforward. If you want people to say something about your site, you can enable it. If you don't want people to say anything about your site, you can disable it. To do that, under the settings, you go to a discussion and you disable it. You shall do that practically. Setting your time zone, this one is common with almost everything. Your phone, you have to set your time zone. You have to set your time and everything. Your computers, you have to set your time zone. This one is, of course, to ensure that yes, people can know where you are and your location is known. Basically, that's why you have to make all these settings ready, so that even if anyone is supposed to come and maybe visit you they can know so and so is at this place. So basically, this is the importance of setting the time zone and all this. It's a basic setting that we have to have on our site. After that, I think we are I think we have gotten that part. If there's anything which is not clear, we can have it put across before we go to the next part, which is going to be our final part for today. But I know we have gone through a lot. It's going to be our final part, but in our practical bit, it is going to be more and more interesting and interactive. Any question from this point on? Yeah, as I wait for your questions in the comments, we shall be proceeding with the design and the customization phase. Yes, you have installed XAMPP. It is hosting your WordPress. You have installed WordPress. You have made the initial settings for your WordPress. Your WordPress now is accessible. Your WordPress now has the appropriate users. Your WordPress now has the appropriate permalink. You are now conversant with the different elements of the WordPress interface. If you want to create a page, you know where to go. If you want to create a post, you know where to go. If you want to upload a media, you want to upload a video, you want to upload an image, you know where to go. For example, you want to change an image on your site, you know where to go and get that image uploaded into your site and then upload it onto your page where you're working from. You know where to get all these things. You now know where to get all these things. If you want to change the appearance of your site, you know where to go. You need to go to the appearance element. So what is the next phase? The next phase is we need to know how do you want our site to look like, which theme are we going to use to have this met, what are we going to change from this theme that we do not need, and what are we going to retain from this theme that we need, and what are we going to add to this theme that we need. That is where we are now heading. I think you can see how these steps are so very, very simple. Just that we are just starters, it may appear bulky, but if we get right into it practically, we shall see how very simple it is, and everyone can be a developer with WordPress. Everyone can be a developer with WordPress. It's just how creative are you to make that very, very, very nice looking site that can reach the audience that you need. So the design and customization phase. Everything about WordPress is design and customization. After install of all the elements, it is design and customization. That's what we are going to look at. So pick a theme, and then does it fit your design? Yes, that's what we are going to look at. Next page. Pick a theme for the design. At this stage, you need to know which theme you're going to work with. Look out for the best themes to show what you want. There are various themes out there. The example we are going to use here is the Hestia theme. The Hestia theme. It's a default theme that comes with WordPress. It's a free theme that comes with WordPress. You can use it to develop very nice looking websites that will take someone weeks or not even months to code. You can develop it in just under hours through these themes. So the Hestia theme is one of the themes by WordPress that is installed by default. It's free, and this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. I think already many of you can say, this looks nice. But it's just a theme, not yet customized to meet our needs. So as mentioned, WordPress themes are out-of-the-box design packages that define the way your website looks. A theme basically defines the way your website looks. You can install them quickly and then change them in the future if need be. Those are themes. I know someone would ask, what is a theme? A theme is basically a package of a design of how a website looks like that you just install into your website, and then you customize to give you the exact feel that you want. That is a theme. Before you start on putting up any website, what kind of theme do you want? You have to look out and get that theme that you want, install it, and then customize it. So here we are saying, while the Hestia is an example of that we are using, yes, it's not the only free theme that you can use. There's a collection of themes that you can use. There is a collection of themes that you can use, starting from business websites to blogs to travels, food, personal sites, and many, many, many much more free themes. If you're dealing in business, you can get that theme. If you're dealing in food, you can get that theme. If you're dealing in travel, you can get that theme. If you're dealing in news, you can get that theme. If you're dealing in anything, you can get the theme for that. And many of them are free that you can use to get exactly what you want. So that is about themes. I hope we now know what a theme is, because we shall work with one when we are practically doing this. So when you get the theme, to install the theme, what do we do? Under appearance, remember I talked of appearance as being the section where we have to go and decide how our website should look like. So under themes, under appearance, you'll find what they call themes. And under themes, you can add a new theme to your website. At the moment, our website doesn't have any theme, but we need to add a theme to our website. So we shall go to the add new button, and then you go and search for the theme that you want. At the moment, we say we are using Hestia. So as you can see down here, we under the in the search box, we type Hestia, and then the theme pops up, and we install it. We install the theme to our website. And the process of installing the theme are as follows. When you select the right theme you want, it will ask you to install, or it can also ask you to preview. Preview will open on a different page and you'll see how the theme looks like. And then you decide, should I go with this theme or I look out for another one? You decide from the preview. If it's already nice from the start, you just install it and then you proceed with the processes. If you get a theme that you have no idea about, you can go and read more about that theme. They'll always provide you with this window here, the welcome page, and getting started with this. For example, for this Hestia theme, you can click the get started with the Hestia button and it will throw you to the web page where you can read more about this theme, know what functionalities that it renders, know how it works to meet your okay, what kind of functionality that it has that will meet your need, and what other functionalities can it provide you. So all that information you can read it from here, the recommended actions, the useful plugins that go with that theme. We talked about plugins. Every theme has some other useful plugins that go with it. So you can also see that from the developers page where they show you the useful plugins that you may install to that theme. You can also look at the support that's available for that theme. All that information you can see it from the developers of the theme by just going at by just clicking at this button, which takes you to that page. I think we have some idea of what themes are now and how we can install them theoretically, but practically we shall do this. It is a very quick process. We shall do it within, and I mean under minutes we shall be done with it, with the installation. So after you have installed the theme, still under the appearance, we have customization. Yes, you have installed the theme. Now let us customize this theme. How do we customize this theme? Customizing a theme comes with many things. The sidebars, the navigation bars. I mean, it comes with many things. That is, it comes with navigation bars. It comes with sections. It comes with titles. It comes with images, icons. It comes with many sorts of things. That's what comes with themes. Like you can see here, this one here is the title. You can see here, this one is a navigation. You can see here, this one is this is the logo. You can see this is a section. You can see these are icons. Now, if you don't want these icons, you can change them all. Now, that is what they call customization. What is there, you change it to the way you want it to be like, the way you feel it should be like. So, when for this example of ours, when you go to the custom page, you'll be presented with something of this sort: a left sidebar, and then the window that contains the look of that theme that you have installed. From the left sidebar, there are many items there. You have the site identity, you can change it. The appearance settings, you can change it. The the front page sections, you can change it from there. The head options, you can change it from the color, you can change it from, for example, you can change everything about the appearance of the site the way you want it at very simple clicks of the mouse, and you change everything the way you want. You have not gone to an expert to do for you this. Okay, people who are experts in this, they already have that design aspect, and they have that knowledge already when it comes to this site. They know which site looks best, which site is so very accessible to the audience, which sites are simpler, which sites look the best. That's basically the experts when it comes to WordPress. But even you yourself, you can become an expert just by interacting with these themes. Often you become an expert. You get to know. You can even develop a theme of your own. You can when you become very familiar with these things. So knowing how to interact with all these other customization tools, customization elements of this theme, you can change this. You can change this website to look yours. For example, now this wine dome, I can change this wine dome to read anything else by just working with these custom navigation sidebar elements. Now, these elements sometimes do vary based on the theme. However, they do serve the same purpose of just customizing the theme itself to look and feel and show what your business is all about. That is with the customization of themes. Now, inside the customization of themes, like we have this homepage settings. Under homepage settings, there we can change everything about the homepage. You can change everything about the homepage. You can change the titles, the names of everything, the icons, subheadings, everything about that. We can change it in the homepage settings. We are going to do that practically. We are going to do that practically. As of now, we are still just under theory. I hope we have an idea of how we can go about customization. So if you can see in this customization page still, you can see something like a pencil under all these elements. You're seeing something like a pencil. For example, here at the logo, you're seeing a pencil. On the navigation, you're seeing a pencil. On this section, you're seeing a pencil. On this button, you're seeing a pencil. What does that do? That's what we are going to look at in the next page. Now, this pencil icon is used to provide some more elements that we can edit on this website. When you click on that pencil, you are going to do more editing on that element. For example, here when you click on this, you can change the image, background image. You can change lots of things by just clicking under this pencil here. So it just provides us with more things to edit, more interfaces to edit this element. We shall practically do that. Good enough, we understood that under pencil, we do more editings from there. We shall do more practically to get the feel of what that does. Next, this is a look through the left navigation bar that I was talking about, the customization navigation bar. Here we are seeing the feature sections, which is used to change the features of the website, the about us section, to change the elements to change the information about the about us page. You go to the about us section. The theme section can be changed also from there. And then we have testimonial. So these are basically the pages that have come with this theme. These are the pages that have come with this theme, and these are the areas where you can access them to have them edited. So this theme that we installed came with the features section, came with this about us section, came with the theme section, came with the testimonial section, came with the ribbon, it came with the contact section. So those are the sections that we go through when we want to customize this element. For example, the contact section, that's where we go to when we want to change the contact information to ours. For example, your phone number, your email address, you go to the contact section and you change it from there, which is here. That's where you change it from here. One very, very important thing, after all these customizations, do not forget to publish. Publish is acknowledging the changes and sending it to the world to access it, to view it and maybe access it. That is the final page of the final stage of every customization. Do not forget to publish. I just put a small snapshot of that here. This icon here, this button, the publish button, it's normally at the top or at the bottom, top or bottom. Do not forget to publish. If you do your customization and you don't publish, it will not take effect onto the site. And when you refresh your site, you will not see the changes that you've made. So always remember to publish. We shall do it practically and publish and see the changes taking effect. Okay, I think there are some things in chat. Yes, the ICT trainer is doing a good job here, answering some of these questions. Yes, Daniel. Yeah, you can have your pre-customized theme. You can install it. You can install it. I mean, you can have it in WordPress. Yes. Then you can upload a photo and use it as a theme. Looks like lengthy as compared to Wix. Yeah, someone here is saying that WordPress looks lengthy as compared to Wix. Not really. I don't think it is lengthy. It's maybe if you get to the practical bit, you will you will change that you will change that that comment. Maybe, I don't know, but it's not lengthy. It is they're more or less the same in terms of the steps you take. It's not lengthy. It's not lengthy. Just because these are many things that you need to have information of, so that they can help you when you're doing the practical part of it. So yes, one other thing also we need to do is adjusting the topology, the typography, sorry, adjusting the typography of our site. These are basically the things like the font family. If you want to change the font family, that is the type of text that you are using on your site. If you want to change it, you can go and adjust the typography under the settings, under the appearance settings and typography. You can change it from there. You can change the color. Yes, you can access the codes. Yes, Joel, you can access the codes or and edit it in WordPress. Yes, you can access it. But when you're going to that point, I'll show you how you access it. But normally, when you're going to that point, the WordPress system kind of tries to confirm if you really want to go there. But you can do it. You can do it. Although, even from the interface itself, you can there's a section where you can put in any codes that you want. If you want to add some other codes, I will show you that in the practical bit of it. We talked about plugins. Actually. We said they extend the website's abilities. You shall read more about it from here, from the slides. Some other plugins that are there, we have the Yoast SEO 25. We have the Google Analytics for WordPress 26. Google Analytics is good. It helps you to monitor lots of things on your website. For example, you can monitor the traffic on your website, how many people are visiting your site. You can monitor all that information from the Google Analytics plugin, which you can install on your WordPress for free. Then there is the WordPress Security 27 and lots more. WPF forms, that's another form, contact form plugin. Very many some examples of plugins that are here. You will have a look at them. Yes, before we go to look at pages, is there any other questions to this point? You can have it in the chats. So just like I said, the building blocks of WordPress are pages, posts, and media. Now we are going to look at pages, theoretically, pages. How do you create pages? You go to pages and then you go to add new. A page will have all the other contents that you need. For example, the headline, the body section, the images, the switch between text and visual editors. It will have the public section, it will have the discussion section, it will have the featured images. All these things are contained into the page. When you're designing a page, all these features are there, and they help you to design an appropriate page for your website. So, as you can see from here, the page contains a title. Number one, you have to put a title for your page. And then number two, this is where you type in the content for the page. And then number three, you can see if you want to add an image to your page, you can add it up from here. And then Number 4, if you want to switch between the visual and then the text, you can switch from here. This one, it toggles through the visual aspect of this page and then the text aspect of this page. You can toggle from here, number 4. And then number 5 is the public section. Now, if you publish section, if you finish editing your page, you have to publish it. Publishing is almost everywhere. You have to edit, after customization, you have to publish. After editing your page, you have to publish. So always remember to publish. If you don't want to render your work of no use, please publish. Otherwise, you may edit everything very well and then you forget to publish and you close everything. You go to your site and then you find there is nothing. You get frustrated. Publishing should always be done. The discussion section decides whether or not you want to allow comments. That one you can either enable or disable. We already talked about that. Then the featured images. Featured images, most WordPress themes take the featured images and display it somewhere in a prominent spot alongside your page. If you want featured images, you can add them up from this section here, number 7 here. That is about pages. Yes, after pages, we need, I talked about this earlier, but let me just throw more light on it. I said websites have key pages. At least on all websites, or almost all websites, you'll find a contact page. What is the importance of the contact page? The contact page is where your contact information is displayed and through which people can reach you directly. So having this contact page makes communication between you and your audience easy. That's an element that every website should have. So these are basically some of the pages that when you're developing a site you should have. These are some of the pages: the about us page, the contacts page, the policy page, the portfolio page if you have some things to showcase, the store page if you have an e-commerce site, and the extension that I told you that can help you is the Woocommerce plugin, which can help you to develop that page for you. When you install that plugin, you already have that page incorporated, and you just go and customize it to your need. The store, that will be the store page. So these are basically some of the pages that you should have. I know many of us here, we have no idea about websites. We have no idea about anything concerning anything like websites or web applications or web systems. We have no idea at all. But if you look to develop any simple system, any simple website for your small business, yes, I need to have a home page to give an overview of what my business is about and what is being done in my business. It's like a window. It's a window that everyone reaches to, and hey, this is this site does this, they do all this. You can access them from here. You can have this is what they've achieved so far. That is the home page. Then the other page that you should have also is the about page. What is it about your site? What is the story about your site? That's the about us page. The contact page, where can they reach you from? What is the information that you can have there that your audience can reach you through? That's the contact page. Then you can also have your team. Some people include their team into their pages, into their websites. You can have your team there. Some people also include their services. You can have your services page there. So these are some of the things, as someone who looks to develop a small site for your business, you should have in mind. The services you offer should be included on your site. So that's a page that you can also create in your website to showcase the services that you provide. You can even have also a blog page on your website where you can interact with your audience, one-on-one interaction with your audience. You can have that page also on your website. So those are basically some of the few pages that you can have on your websites. But most cases, I would advise we have some kind of simple website, simple, straight to the point, and giving the entire information that the website should provide, so that most of these audiences that we have on our sites, they don't want to see a lot of information. They need summarized information that provides them all the information that they need. So you don't have to put a lot of information on your site and then you get your audience lost. We have to have simple information, straight to the point, easily digestible by the audience, and giving the exact information that our audience needs. So all these things have to cross through your mind as you're designing and customizing this WordPress to showcase your business. I think that is fine for us. Just an advice on what we can have on our websites. We talked of the blog post. You can add the blog post through this method. You go to the posts element and then you add new post. And then from there, you create that blog and then publish it. It is the same process actually of creating a page. It is the same process, the same process of creating a page. So practically we shall see it. Yes, and I think that marks the beginning of that marks the end of this session. But we shall have another session on the practical bit of it, whereby we shall install WordPress. We shall install XAMPP. We install WordPress, and then we start off by manipulating the WordPress to create a simple test site. And I think from that we shall be experts as well in developing these simple small business websites that can showcase our business to the world. If someone is there and you want to tell them what you are doing, just tell them, oh my friend, visit my website, this and this, and they can visit your website and then tell it to other people, and you find your market growing. So that's the advantage of WordPress. It helps us to really grow even our small businesses. At a very small fee, you can have your website hosted and then maintained for you. If you want it to be maintained by the hosting companies. Aside from that, Mr. Joel, this marks the end of this presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for the great session. It was indeed a very good one, 2 hours. And guys, we are so sorry we couldn't even have a break, but we hope this is going to pay off. Next weekend when we meet, he's going to do whatever he showed you today live. We are going to go to WordPress, but I think it made sense that we started with, just the bit of theory so that you can know really what to expect. So come ready on Saturday to dive to the site WordPress and build your very first one. It must have been complicated for sure, especially the setting out your servers and stuff, just the development bit of it. But at this point, we will tell you to go an extra mile, do more research. It will be very easy, I promise. But also, if you feel you can't really build one and you can manage a site, that's also fine. But as Brian said, anyone can actually build and manage a site on WordPress. It can be your organization's website, and then you don't really need to have an IT guy to manage your site. And also, if you're into communications, today communication takes a different shape. It's not just taking phone calls and stuff. It also goes to stuff like managing content on the website. So this is really crucial, and I just encourage all of you to take it seriously. Let's get back here on Saturday. If there is anyone you think could like this kind of training, please share with them. These are free trainings. And thank you, Brian. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye from me. We are going to share the recording with you. It will go on our YouTube. By the way, we have a huge data bank on YouTube. We have more than 40 hours of content, and yet I think we've seen more than 35 hours of watch time on our channel. So go and subscribe. Kectil Uganda. That's who we are. Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Derek, you can stop the recording, and yeah, bye, guys.